Yeah, you, yeah, you, yeah, you, yeah. Good morning, beautiful people. It is a brand new day. Did not come here intending to sing, but here we are. I actually wanted to find out whether the television from upstairs, from our neighbors upstairs, is terribly audible in this recording because it's reasonably loud at mid-morning on a Thursday, but it's holidays. Almost Christmas. A time to remember. I'm not going to get sentimental. Christmas does not mean anything to me personally, but it is a time that's important for many people and supposed to be beautiful. And remembering, does that make sense? End of the year, we remember the year, we reflect the year. How was the year? How was your year? How was your 2025? Mine was super intense. Super intense. I don't even know if I should call it good. It was bombastic. It was really extraordinary. Extraordinary, absolutely life-changing. But it was so intense that, yeah, I wonder if I would want to live it again. I stretched myself to my limits intentionally and in a controlled manner. And yeah, there's a lot I could say about that. It's not really clearly part of this moment. We have Muluk today, the red moon, the energy in the Tzolk'in dream spell, the day energy. Red solar moon, tone 9, the 9th day in the wave spell, a 13-day period called a wave spell of the red dragon. It is the first wave spell in a period of 260 days, 20 wave spells. Each a kin in the dream spell is a single seal. It's called a kin, or a day energy is called a kin. There are 260 kins, so it's the combination of tone and seal. 20 seals, 13 tones. 20 times 13 equals 260. Each kin is like a particle, and it has within this Tzolk'in module also the function of a wave. So we're back at this light code energy that functions as particle and wave. The red moon stands for universal water, purification, purify, flow, and in remembrance. And it's often referred to as a beacon of light, or a beacon like a lighthouse, naturally, because the moon in the night sky is often the only source of light. When we travel through the night, back in the days, before electric light and all that, and it is also a beacon like a clock. It has a very regular clock face, the moon face, the moon phase. The moon phases are regular, very regular, and act like a clock, a guide, a link. It is, I often think of the moon as the most, not the most direct way, but the most direct way we can look at the sun. We can look at light. The light of the sun that bounces off the surface of the moon and hits our retina. You can look at it for a very long time. I mean, as long as you like. Unlike the sun, of course, I suppose if we look at anything, light is always hitting our retina. But it's my imagination. Like I like this image of I can connect to the sun directly through my eyes. I can send information to the moon, and like the photons of the sun or whatever it is, the light particles that return to me, or return, interesting, return. Do they return to me? They come from me. It's a circle. Life is a circle. Life is a circle of life. They hit my eyes. I can send information up to the moon and relay it to the sun. Naturally, I do not need to use my eyes for that. I can do that just with my intention. And the solar tone today, tone 9, stands for pulse, realize, and intention. I love this tone because naturally, being solar, it links us to the sun, to consciousness, our consciousness. Consciousness is one of those words that, in my understanding, has meanings that one actually has to define when using that word. And yet it's, for me personally, I find it very difficult to define consciousness. Universal consciousness, is that my consciousness when I'm conscious of something universal, or is it that the universe is conscious of itself? Is consciousness a self-consciousness? Is consciousness always is some point of something that can be conscious of itself? Is that the definition of consciousness? Is consciousness always conscious of itself? Do we confuse or link or liken consciousness with a form of knowingness? I'm asking myself this. I'm not giving myself any answers. I'm content with the question. I'm content with not knowing. I'm not confused about it either. I'm just aware of there being probably several probabilities, several options. I can leave them be. The seals, the 20 seals, are often called solar seals, I think, but the tones are not called lunar. So they are consciousness, they are the known, what's known. The universal water, purity, flow, moon. Moon days are, for me personally, very often, they have been in the past, days where I get very emotional, very aware of, and when I say emotional, I refer to emotions along the frequency of sad, hurting, tearful, irritable, I suppose along the spectrum of premenstrual stress syndrome type emotions. I could be, laughing, being joyful, being loving is equally emotion, right? Emotion, that's also emotional. When we use the word emotional, it tends to mean closer to the water side of things. In German, we have a saying that when we are sort of tearful or feeling like easy to cry on a day or in a moment, then we say, today I'm built close to the water. Emotions need to flow. Emotions are emotion, energy and motion. Water needs to flow. Stagnant water putrefies. I'm reminded of Crowley's 7 of Cups from the Thoth Tarot, where the waters have turned into like slime, putrefaction, not flowing, overindulging, trying to hold on to emotional states, even if they're positive. Not crying is as toxic, quote unquote toxic, as trying by all means to maintain. I suppose nowadays we have this term for it, toxic positivity, but that means something else. That's not emotion, that's a mental state, I think. I'm referring to being really, not flowing emotionally and trying to hold on to something like an addiction, like this is good, I gotta have this again and again and again and again, keep going, keep doing this thing, this makes me happy, I'm no longer connected to the moment and allowing all things to flow, and therefore I am no longer balanced. I want to share a moment of remembrance. This morning before coming in, I remembered the documentary The Primordial Code, or maybe it's called only Primordial Code. You can find it on YouTube. It's a very, very interesting documentary. It has in the subtitle settings of YouTube a good amount of different languages to choose, subtitle options. I recommend that documentary. It's very valuable. And somewhere towards, in the last quarter, towards the end of the documentary, he visits a German, it's a Dutch documentary filmmaker. He visits a German scientist, and that man has developed what's called a green box. And it's a seed germination box that is exposed or subjected to a static electro-field. And in that static electric field, the DNA of the seeds remembers or expresses a different state, a different gene expression to what it would if you planted it into the soil of the earth outside. And he explains how our genes, ancient as they are, since the information, the genetic information gets passed on from generation to generation through the female chromosome. The male chromosomes only live, I think, as long as 6 generations. Read a very wonderful book of somebody called, I think his surname is Watts, and I don't remember the name of the book, but he was a marine Scientologist. Scientist. He researched, he spoke a lot about the genes as well, why male genes seek to reproduce a lot, often a lot, because their ultimate lifetime is shorter, so they opt for quantity, while the female genes live many generations, so they are programmed to opt for quality. Explains a lot. So this genetic expression, this gentleman explains, we remember the genes adapt to the environment, to the electromagnetics of the earth, to whatever environment they need to survive in and adapt to. And each version that is successful or I suppose not successful is remembered. We have it's put down in the memory. Our genes are memory storehouses, much like crystals are, like water is. Water forms crystals. I am not an expert on these details, so I'm relaying this as best I can now. Feel free to correct me. But water holds memory. Our genes hold memory. And depending on the changes in our environment, for example, electromagnetic changes of the earth, or as we are currently, our solar system is moving into a new area in space, in our galaxy, or the galaxy in the universe. No, I think the solar system within the galaxy, that it has never ever been, according to Cryon. That is my source of information. Apparently it can be scientifically verified. And we are subjected to cosmic radiation the Earth has never been subjected to. I'm sorry, I think I'm receiving an information from the quantum field or from somewhere that I am unable to translate. Or I feel I don't want to go out on a limb and say what I could say now because I have no source of reference for it. When the red dragon waves spell, and I'm experiencing a moment of not trusting the information that's flowing through. That's all right. That's all right. What this man experiences or what he shows in the green box, he puts in a seed. I didn't go watching the full clip now. Is it wheat? Grains of wheat. What's it called in English? Our wheat is one stalk and one wheat corn bit on top there with all the wheat corn in there. There's only one, and I think we may have genetically modified that, selectively growing it that way, because it makes it much easier for us to harvest large amounts of wheat with our machines. The original genetic code expression of wheat, 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 just to be clear, wheat is bush formed. It's not a single stalk. It grows many arms, and in his box, green box, the wheat expresses the genetic code. He can tune the electric field, the static electro field. He calls it that, maybe it's electromagnetic. Go check it out yourself. Changes the genetic expression of the wheat. So what does that mean? We could say, and here I'm putting in brackets, what is consciousness? But the wheat remembers consciously or unconsciously. I think maybe only a human can make that distinction of conscious and unconscious. I don't know. The wheat remembers a different genetic expression. The DNA of the wheat remembers a different expression of itself and therefore expresses that which it remembers. In What the Bleep Do We Know, the Indian scientist, I think he's Indian, please excuse my ignorance, I cannot quote his name now either. He says, we experience life, I quote him, always in the meter of memory. Everything we experience consciously is memory, or through the meter of memory. That is a deeply profound statement. It is absolutely irrelevant to the regular living of life. There is no need. We do not need any of it. We can live our life absolutely blissfully as every animal, every child, every plant, everything. We don't need to know that. But if we have this kind of mind that does enjoy this kind of information, and we can work with it, it's not just theoretical. Anyway, we do also have, so we have this consciousness, we have water, we purify. Of course, it's natural. We understand on whatever level we need to drink a lot, we need to cleanse the body, we purify the body through water, we purify water through other methods. The earth herself is, among other things, a water purifying system. I love how in Singapore they catch rainwater, run it through a park, a man-made park system, through stone, through earth, through whatever, and purify the rainwater so that when it leaves the park into the groundwater or into whatever river, it is cleaner than what it was when it came from the sky. Or so they say. We are able as humans to do that. In a lot of circles, humans get a lot of bashing nowadays. Like we are the species that is damaging this planet. I say, wait a minute. We are capable of the full spectrum. Let's not forget that. And we're not just, we are a young species. We are a maturing species, like a child who goes through all these phases, and not every phase of a child is intrinsically wise. It does go and experiment around with what happens if I break everything, what happens if I scream, what happens if I'm rude, at least in the context of the society I live in. What happens when I lie? We try it all out. If I can have it my way, I will only have sweets. Yeah. But we mature, and I believe we collectively as humans mature as well. Of course, why should we not? But I don't want to either go off on that tangent. I just think we're capable of great brilliance, and our own bodies are brilliant. And to me, it begs the question, what intelligence built this body in this way? The more we explore and discover about the body, about our biology, or any biology, the more amazing we discover and realize, the more fascinating we realize it is. such incredible intelligence. Yes, we're getting to understanding intelligent design. I'm not going there now because it's also not really, we can live with both versions of reality. Someone believes this is all a coincidence and nature selects itself, blah, 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 no intelligent design as such. But nature herself is an intelligent designer. I mean, that's kind of obvious. Who is nature? So who designed this body? Who am I living in it? And for me, today is a day of remembrance, red moon. It's the first moon we meet in the Tzolk'in spin, in the red dragon wave spell. Birth, being, nurturance, the dragon. And we're remembering ourselves. Solar moon, linking us back to the sun, consciousness, universal fire, water, universal water and universal fire together. Mm-hmm. I spoke about how our bodies is purifying. It purifies. I personally believe and experience my body keeps itself healthy. My intuition works well enough. I'm balanced enough to know how much of anything can I eat, how much can the body absorb. It lets me know there isn't anything that I don't eat. And I try by all means to eat healthy. I do, but it happens all natural. Because if you don't pour too much toxins into the body, that it cannot keep up with detoxifying itself, it will of course accumulate the toxins. Like take any river, you can pour any bits of anything in, sooner or later nature's taken care of it. But if it's too much, the system can't keep up. And same with our thoughts. Too many negative, self-destructive thoughts. The system can't. It becomes, the body is partially built out of our thoughts, our emotions. It builds its neurological connections, and your dominant thoughts, your dominant frequency build your experience. At least they build the filters through which build your experience. They build your filters. They build our filters. And they build a collective filter. We could remember that we are experiencing life through filters. And collective filters. Scientific filters. Very often science is as dogmatic as religion and proclaims and states a truth that isn't backed up by something, science or logic. Now, faith doesn't require logic. It has its own logic. That's not the point. But dogma is, in science, dogma is very problematic because science claims itself to be a living, exploring system in search and service of truth. If you cannot understand, truth is not static. When truth becomes dogmatic, fixed, unchanging, it becomes like toxin in water. It becomes inflexible and putrefies. So the solar moon pulsing, pulse. What's a pulse? My heartbeat creates a pulse. I find it fascinating that in the Ayurvedic system. The pulse is measured with 3 fingers and can be felt by the practitioner, I believe, as like kind of like 3 different pulses. I mean, wow. I love that. And it's the pulse of my body. It pulses information. That pulse is translated in information to the practitioner, who then understands what's up in my body. And in Ayurveda, they understand your body is linked to all your bodies, that as well, your emotional bodies, your mental bodies, your spiritual bodies, your energetic bodies, you're this, you're that. My knowledge is limited. And they play together like a symphony. We are a symphony. So if Muluk, the red moon, asks me to remember, who am I? How many options can I choose from? Universal water, I'm a symphony. Now can you imagine the symphony as one tone? Music as one, as my body goes, as I'm speaking, my body goes into contraction, because I'm imagining myself as a symphony, which is a linear flow of sound or something. If I stop it, if I not just stop it as in it discontinues, but if I try to jam the symphony into a non-flowing sound bit, it cannot be done. My body contracts, like no. My body is flowed. If my blood stops flowing, boom, I don't live much longer after that. It doesn't work to not flow. Everything is in flow. A stone, a rock, everything flows. The earth is flowing and floating through space. Call it hurling. Never mind, even air is a medium which we flow through. But of course, it's air, earth, we're within the elements. One is not the same as the other. But everything needs to flow. My body needs to be in a constant state of flow, to purify, to absorb, to take in, and to radiate out. Tone 5 reminds us to radiate. Now I could spend a second and touch on something else. Hold on a second. And that is that a wave spell is made out of 13 tones. And it is the wave spell of the red dragon, determined by the first tone. Four wave spells together make up what is called a castle. And just a note aside, the way they are drawn, the wave is drawn like a hook. There are 13 seals, 13 little icons, like icons in a Windows system or in your phone, like whatever these icons look. What are the icons? Oh my God. Oh, Tatjana, where is this stored? Muluk, help me to remember the right words. All right, and you click on it, whatever. The little windows icons. So 5 down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then they move over to the right. 6, 7, 8, 9. From point 9 it goes up. 10, 11, 12. And from 12 it goes back to the left. If you were walking it, you'd always make a left turn. But if you're looking at it from straight, it goes down to the right, up, and to the left, 1. So you have 5 down, whatever, if you count the first one, whatever. So that's a wave. 4 of them together looks a bit like the swastika. And 4 tones 1, 5, 9, and 13 are color red. They form what's called a pulsar. Tones 2, they form, it's the never mind the names, I'm not going to go too deep into them. The next tone, tone 2, 6, and 10 are the next color, in this case white, they form a pulsar. Then there's 4 colors, so 4 pulsars. They each have a name, and I think the first one is the time pulsar, is the time, what's this wave spell, the time pulsar, then you have the life pulsar, you have the sense pulsar, and then you have the mind form pulsar. These are the 4 pulsars. You get overtone pulsars, which are related to the tones. They are cross-dimensional pulsars because these 4 base pulsars, based on the colors, they each have a dimension. They are single dimensional. They are dimension 1, 2. I think they're dimension 4 is the first one. The second one is dimension 1. This third one is dimension 2. The fourth one is dimension 3. I haven't even started the complexity of this super brilliant system. And this life pulsar we're part of today, the 4 seals, is the red dragon, the red snake, the red moon, and the red skywalker. Their tones 1, 5, 9, and 13, called magnetic, overtone, which stands for radiance, which is where I'm going with this, 9, solar, realizing and intention, and tone 13, cosmic, transcendence, endurance, presence. Magnetic is attracting, unifying, purpose. Delicious, delicious. I'm born on a magnetic tone. It's a delicious tone to be born on. But I tell you what, every tone is delicious to be born on because they're all just supersonically delicious. Anyhow, so this link between incidentally, tone 9 today, solar, is always, each seal has a guide. Each kin has a guide kin. So we're guided by the red snake today. And the tone 9 is always guided by the same seal of that same wave spell that sits on tone 5. Radiance, overtone, command. So there's a link here for this time pulsar of the red dragon, birthing, nurturing, bringing into being, trusting, primal trust, the primordial mother, hence primordial code, moon remembrance. I can just weave this. I love this. I'm remembering the primordial code of my own DNA. Do I remember today who I am? Can we remember? It doesn't have to be only today. It's just, that's what the seal stands for, among other things. I have to remember that I do have to purify. I can purify my system, my biology, through my mind, through my thoughts. And mental hygiene is more important in my estimation than physical hygiene, because your physical hygiene will always be an expression of your mental hygiene. By physical hygiene, I don't mean showering, I mean also drinking water, purification of the body, internal purification, cleansing inwardly and outwardly. The body does it itself. The outward cleanse, the body. Oh yeah, actually, but let me not go there. It's a bit of a never mind. But where am I coming from? We're guided by the snake, the serpent, life force, vitality, on tone 5 in this particular wave spell, kundalini, sexuality. What else does it stand for? So to remember, for example, we are sexual beings. It's a great thing to remember. We are sensual beings. And sexuality, to remember sexuality is so much bigger. Without sexuality, no procreation, no genetics that can remember who they were. it's all, life is sex. I mean, whatever, yeah, it's, everything is sexual, everything procreates, everything is, attracts life to procreate, to reproduce. Everything in the natural world is somehow self-reproducing, even if it requires a male and a female to come together and to reproduce offspring. But it happens. My computer isn't self-reproducing. It will not come up, sadly, with its own ancestor, forward or backward. When we leave linear time, my ancestors are ahead of me. They've come here ahead of me. They are before me. But my ancestors who would come through my children into the linear future, they are ahead of me, in a different ahead of me. Semantics. Cracking open linearity, twisting the brain a little bit into and out of its linear stranglehold. Linearity. I'm not bashing linearity. Linearity is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But we coexist in multi-dimensional non-linearity and in three-dimensional linearity. It's good to remember that. And when it comes to gene expression, my genetic code holds memories I have no idea about. And here I'm saying, who am I? My body knows, my genes know. When I say I clearly do not currently identify with my genes, who have a memory of all the way back to the proverbial Eve, all the way back to before that. Where was the first genetic gene express? Where does it start? Is there a beginning somewhere? Where does, what's before the Big Bang again? We're such smart Alex in our scientific, we don't know shit. We just make up a story and then we say, oh, let's run with that theory. But it would be okay, and it's totally okay. We have to start somewhere. So let's make up a story and say, let's run with it. But let's not forget, we've kind of made up a story. We've put together a few elements and say, could have been like this. We don't understand it. We can't explain it. It doesn't really make any logical sense. But since we have nothing better to go on, let's run with this. If we remember this all the way, then it stays flexible. Then it's flowy. Then we can say, okay, we always have to say it could be like that. As soon as we say the story we made up is like that, like the same, Bruce Lipton tells us, genetic illnesses, we made that up. It's true for only a very, very, very tiny % of genetically passed on illnesses. And even that is a big question mark there. What does that mean? Why does it genetically express? Why do you genetically express an illness that maybe your mother or your grandmother expressed? It's not a foregone conclusion that your body should express it just because your mother or grandmother did express it. There's a link why it does express. And we can remember that we have a say in that. Who are we? Are we victims of our genetics? Are we victims of our environment? Are we victims of the toxins in our water that we drink that we cannot escape? Or are we going to be victims of all that plastic in our brain? Do we by now have all a teaspoon of plastic in our brain? Some say. Like, lol. How much metal in our brain? In our whole body? Can the body adapt and live with it? What does it do? Am I going to be a victim and say, oh my God, I got to detoxify? I cannot even hope to detoxify from all that. I cannot hope to purify. I mean, what do I have to do to purify? There was a time in my life where that totally freaked me out because I thought, you can't escape. There is no, if I run my tap water through a filter, it picks up some shit in the filter. If I drink bottled water, am I going to just buy glass bottled water or go to some natural earth source, get my own water? I was positively freaked out because I thought, I'm assaulted by toxins, I can't escape. My body went into panic again and again and again for a while until I thought, wait a minute, who are you? who are you? And I remembered who I am. I remembered who I am. I am a filter system, among other things. My body is smart, wise, and very, very capable. And if it is not, then a whole lot of bodies will not be. And we will manifest a collective problem that we then collectively will be forced to, and will be wanting to course correct, because we are here in the interest of our own survival, as a species. So, yeah. So now I've come to a dead end. Muluk, guided by the life force of a snake, who sits on tone 5, radiance. Wave spell of the red dragon. I can link it forward in time to the red Skywalker, this particular time pulsar. And, the Skywalker. Exploring, bringing heaven to earth. What is his? It's not that I don't know these, not that I have to justify, I have to look this up now, but I'm not in memory brain mode. I'm in a different mind mode, space explorer, wakefulness. No, I have to admit, I don't. Wakefulness is one of those words that I always forget with him. I put it somewhere where I can rediscover it. I don't forget it. I'm not even trying to remember it. It just puts itself somewhere where it can surprise me, like looking for an Easter egg on Easter. I don't find all the eggs on Easter. I find them throughout the year, like, oh, look, there's another one. Haha, how nice. I'll pick it up later. I don't have time now. Then I forget. The next day I come past that same spot, like, oh, look at that. I find it again. Isn't that great? Anyway, wakefulness. Space and exploring. So if you put together this pulsar of nurturing, birthing, being, life force, kundalini, whatever the third one is on the snake, I could look it up now, I'm not going to purifying, universal water, remembering, flow with wakefulness, space, exploring. I mean, that's what I'm doing here. That's what we do as humans. We're exploring life. We're curious about life. We're exploring what we like, and we're exploring what we don't like, and we are creating life experience. Flowing through space, time, multidimensional, third dimensional. Is that enough to remember? And in all of that we feel. Sometimes we feel good, sometimes we don't. I'm not going into that now. To some people, feelings are not very significant. To me, I'm Pisces. Water is very essential to my existence as a fish. Spirit is essential to my existence as a fish. I love what Kaipacha Lecha says. He says Pisces isn't water, it's ether. Whatever that means. But I like it. I relate. And we each have enough to say we share a common humanity. We share a common humanity, and we can recall, remember, define our commonalities, and we are within that unique, like snowflakes. We are unique expressions. We're unique genetic expressions of the One. Neo, do you know you are the One? You are the One as soon as you believe you are the One. If you believe you're not, you do not believe as Morpheus believes in you. If you do not believe it, you will not likely be able to manifest the potential Morpheus sees you having. And all the characters in the story are expressions, genetic or otherwise, memory otherwise, expressions of the One. Now how does this relate to some earthly practicality? It relates to the way I relate to myself, the way I relate to my body, the way my cells relate to each other, the way my cells relate to each other, the way my organs relate to each other, the way the individual organs, cells, systems relate to the whole, creating health, a natural state of being, or not, disharmony, no flow. If my arteries contract and don't allow my arteries, my veins, my arteries, whoever, whatever, my blood vessels contract and don't allow for the amount of blood flow to go through, to pass through, then who has created that? Who has created that contraction? And it causes an imbalance caused by an imbalance. Who comes first, chicken or egg? But in my view, that's a vital question. As humans, why do we I don't need to really, I can ask the question to memory. We have to look into memory to answer, why do we hurt each other? Why do I have to hurt you? Why do I have to steal from you? Why do I have to wipe out your entire culture? Why do I have to why do I have to strip you of your humanity? Why? Why am I causing a war? Why am I screaming and yelling around? The answer to that why is a little bit important. And can we get over it already? Can we stop it? I mean, man, we're children on a fucking playground. Okay, no, sorry, disrespectful to our current state of evolution, Tatiana. Self-canceling myself. Compassion. The mother, the great dragon mom, looks on her children and says, you gotta get through that. You gotta get through that yourself. I'm here if you're asking me for help. You can ask me for help anytime. You can ask for advice. I will help you. But you are naturally going to want to solve it yourself, because that is how growth and evolution works. You'll find your solutions. You'll make it work. And I love what Kryon says. He says, peace on earth is not the final, it's not like a final kind of goal. He says, that's the starting point. That's where our evolution really, that's where we start from. So we're not reaching for a finish line. It's not the finish line. It's the starting point. We're still scrambling around. And we gotta take a much, much bigger bird's eye view. Blue eagle, we're still getting there. Linked to the snake, however, is the antipode position, the opposite point in the 20 sign circle of 20 seals, 13 signs, right? The seals form a circle. Most opposite, the furthest away from the snake, it's part of its oracle kin, is the serpent, is the eagle. The snake is like totally close to the ground, the closest to the ground you get, and the eagle is the closest, farthest away you get. In archetypal terms, they are opposites. So the greatest achievement is to become the feathered serpent, Quetzalcoatl, if I pronounce it right. That embodied the integration of our own polar opposites, of our own polarities. That is being an integrated human. That's when we start, when we get there, when that is who we become, collectively and individually. There's no need to waste our resources in shit like war, or shit like lack. The earth is abundant. The universe is abundant. The spirit world, the quantum field is abundant. Blue night, we've been through it already. It's always present. The quantum field is always present. And as Abraham Hicks says, this universe has the wherewithal to give you anything you want. We've just grown to believe if I have X, that means someone else cannot have X. So therefore, if I have a lot of X and there's only a limited amount of X, then I'm having a lot of it, others have a little of it. No, no. Paradigm shift. Ding, 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 ding. I believe I cannot sing, and it used to be my great. So one dream I had as a child is I wanted to sing, until that's a story for another day. I can remember how that dream got burst like a balloon, and I live with that. It's all right. I remember a self that can sing. I dream that self regularly. I sing in my dreams in exactly the way I want to be able to sing. It is amazing. And I am absolutely content knowing versions of me exist that can sing. This, I spoke about it yesterday, this version does not, this version has no recollection. I did sing at some point a bit, and but it's always been a struggle. It's always not been as free as my genetics remember. I have genetic or akashic remembrance of singing, that this cellular, the third dimensional cells here don't really have a memory of this, you know what I mean? But I'm content that the memory exists, and it exists somewhere. And I am also content knowing in quantum reality everything is now. So it's not like I once sang, now I cry because that's over and gone. And no, it is. It always is. Love never ends. Reality is always, all things are always. We're just filtering a slide, a third dimensional slide. But the reel of time, the movie reel, has all slides present. And you can fast forward or backward. In third dimensions, you have to fast forward or backward. In multi-dimensions, you can look at them all at the same time. Oh, that's what we do in the dream time. We can mix it all up any way we want. We're not limited to third dimensional rules and realities. And to our third dimensional self, that's terribly theoretical. And like, how can I use that? I'm sitting here now. What I want is not here. Or I'm sick now. What you talk about multidimensional, blah, blah. Here we have access to it. Oh, we do. And we can remember that. We're collectively waking up. Yes, each one of us has to do our individual work, but our individual work isn't individual work. My waking up process is a collective process. It feels to my individual sense of self as if it is an individual process. It's not. But it doesn't matter, because it's both. It's particle and wave. I am separate and connected. I am wave and ocean. I am all the waves and all the ocean. I am every drop of water. I am one drop of water. This drop of water is not that drop of water, and yet it is. Linearity says no, it's not. 3D says no, it's not. And you know what? 3D, you're right. I love that. I am hopeful that as humans we move to that generally collectively, that we can understand, like, yeah, we are right, you're right. I'm not of your opinion. I see it differently. I'm right, you're right, we're right. We're both wrong. Where was that come from? A very good friend of mine said, oh, did it come from Sweden where she told me they've developed this thing where we're all wrong. We agree on we're all wrong. That's the baseline. It creates more harmony. I have talked about this with another friend who vehemently discussed this point with me. I'm glad this is my podcast. Nobody's here to discuss this with me. I get to enjoy my own truth and my own version of reality here and share it with you, whoever cares to listen. I love this. We're all wrong. Let's just, agree on that. And then we don't have to fight each other for who's right, because, well, I'm wrong and you're wrong too. Where do we go from here? Oh, yeah. I have not spoken about the 4 friends except the guide, the serpent of the red moon, who are they're 3 beautiful friends. The storm, the analog position. I'm not going to go into it. Stands for your interest, self-generation, auto-generation, catalyze energy. We've talked about yesterday, I think. Why? Because we talked about it 2 days ago, because it's the guide of the blue resonant hand. We have the yellow human we spoke about many times in this wave spell. The yellow human shows up. He, she, it, they, we show up. We show up. Many times. Free will, influence, wisdom is the occult position, the hidden helper. And whom we haven't touched on in this wave spell at all yet. White dog, the best friend, the most like energy. It's tomorrow's day energy. Heart, love, loyalty. It's my personal antipode position to the yellow sun. It's the sign furthest away. But yellow sun stands for universal love. Dog stands for love. If love I don't want to say doesn't work. What kind of language is that? Hello? Ding, 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 ding. Note to self, check your language, Tatjana. If love is out of alignment, self-love. Dog stands for self-love. I'm going to talk about self-love tomorrow, probably. I'm finding that a bit of a... Well, it comes from having already split the atom. So once we split yin and yang, yin can talk about yang, yang can talk about yin. They are separate entities, but they can't exist without each other. You can't have one without the other. So they are linked. Love, self-love. It's a non-concept. Like, does the universe love itself? Life is. Love is, life is, that is. Love is like consciousness, one of those words that means so many things. To use them as one word, you have to really actually get super precise. What do you actually mean? Anyhow, not part of today's, by now very long monologue. But the dog is a part of today. It's the most like energy to the moon. So to remember love. We are love. Remember who we are. Remember who you are. You are love. You're love made manifest in 3 dimensions. All of life is love made manifest in 3 dimensions. Of course, there has to be the opposite of. And that too is somehow manifest in, at least in, where? Answer that for yourself. I don't want to take responsibility for what I might be about to say. This is sticky because everything can be contested and it's too mental, but it's like, yeah, also pretty real, right? We're not only experiencing love on the planet. As myself, as my human, I'm not experiencing only love. But if I didn't experience something that isn't love, I would never experience love. I wouldn't know what it is. I couldn't be conscious of it. As the one can't be conscious of itself until it splits itself in two. So, and then it's two, but it's two ones, so it has made a copy of itself. Probably it's made a copy of itself. Or maybe it hasn't made a copy of itself. I like this. I think it made a copy of itself. So, in as much as, yeah. And then it starts to merge with itself in aspects. And then it starts to create, that is like, why is life sex? Because it splits and remerges and splits and remerges. That's pulse, the solar tone, pulse. Also the rhythmic tone. The solar snake is delicious. The rhythmic snake is delicious. All snakes are delicious. If we can be in that space of flow. The snake, the serpent, can be guided by the moon. The red signs only, every color sign in the Tzolk'in is guided by its same color sign. They don't hop. So that's like within its own dimension. The moon can only be directly attached to the serpent through the guide position. The moon can guide the serpent, and the serpent can guide the moon. Now I'm going to look up, because I don't know which one it is. Which serpent is it that interests me now that is guided by the moon? The magnetic is guided by itself, lunar by the earth. 3, electric, which means each one that has a 3 in it, 3, 8, and 13, which means electric, galactic, and cosmic. Moons, snakes, serpents are guided by the moon. Whatever that means, I'm not going there now. And as far as moons are concerned, guided by the serpent, it would be anything that has a 4 dots in it. So that's tone 4 and tone 9. That is self-existing and solar. It's worth, I don't want to use the word understanding, because it kind of like, it's as if it shifts everything too much into mind, especially on a moon day where it's about flow and feeling and remembering, in the dragon wave spell where it's all about being. So, but it's, understanding can happen on many, many levels. My body no, wait. I don't know if my body understands how to digest food. Does it understand how it digests food? It just knows how to do it. Blue hand, knowing. So, to know. It's good to know why or what the effects are. Why tone 4 and tone 9 got the moon guided by the serpent. What that means. It's good to know that. I built myself a bridge. White Wall Bridger. Thank you very much. I've replaced the word. Anyway, I think I'm going to stop now. What kind of statement is that? I think I am going to do something. I think I am going to do something. What does that mean? I'm not splitting atoms. I'm splitting hairs. And what happens if we split hairs? Do we get 2 hairs? Or do we get 2 half hairs? Useless, right? What are we going to do with 2 half hairs? 2 hair halves. 2 half hairs. 2 halves to make a whole. 2 half hairs cannot really easily be put back together to make a whole hair. What does that mean? I hear some friends of mine say, Tatjana, you have too much time on your hands. Well, I'm not in survival mode. I do have time. I am one of those people who I work absolutely only as much as I need to live, to survive, which puts me occasionally into survival mode and into serious stress. I value time. I need time. Time for living, for being, for breathing, for feeling, for contemplating, for musing, for spending time with my friends, for spending time in nature. Time is of the essence. Time is money. That's a statement out of the 1260 time matrix. I'm quoting This did not come out of my own channel field. This did not come out of me. I'm quoting. Time is art, I quote, comes out of the 1320 time matrix. Time is art. Time is my own medium of my own artistic expression. And I could say, as a collective humanity, we also use time as a medium to artistically express. Now, hair splitting is time. The canvas is time. The brush is time. The paint is time. The inspiration is time. What time is it all? Is it not? Doesn't matter. I wish us a wonderful red moon day. If you're feeling emotionally a little bit challenged, take heart. It will pass. Let it flow. Let your feelings flow. Remember, there were other days where you felt differently. Remember, there will be other days that you will feel differently. Remember, there is something other than whatever you may experience that you may not like. Remember who you are, and remember, sometimes we have to fight, but we have to fight for something. We have to stand for, we have to flow towards. The river never flows, it flows away from the source, but gravity of something else, of its destination, pulls the water, makes it flow. It's not saying, ooh, there's my source, I don't want to be at my source, get away, get away. No. Oh, that's a whole nother field I could explore. It's so, water is wonderful. Remember water. Maybe remember water. Maybe that makes it a little easier if it's not easy. And also, if the tight spot or the difficult or the hard feeling or the whatever is a recurring theme, and you say to yourself, yeah, but I'm always in this, or it keeps coming back, I'm never really out of it, or I want to be permanently out of it, maybe remember the solar tone of pulse and intention and realization. Intending, realizing your intentions, realizing you are a creator, at least of your filters. Remember yourself and don't fight yourself, or do if it gives you something. And if today is an easy peasy, flowy, happy, hunky-dory, glowy, solar, sunny day, also cool. Remember, it won't always be that either. And we can hold hands. We can share the moment and the space. The Skywalker on the cosmic tone in this wave spell, it holds space for us. We can hold space for ourselves and explore. And now I'm starting to talk out of my arse. I notice that I am overstretching my own welcome. I'm going to stop this now. Wish you a wonderful day and bless you. And my calendar looks good. Tomorrow I should be able to be back here. So, okay.